Hey guys, it is day number 3 of 42, and we're going to talk about everything online business every day for the next 39 days. So thanks for being here. Thanks for giving me feedback on the last 2 days. Super pumped. For everyone who's in Action Academy, we're only a couple days in, so you guys can totally join anytime. It's not like you have to be in there from the beginning. You can join at any time, and I'll make sure that link is right here. So today I want to talk about annoying people. This comes up a lot, especially with my best of you women, or if you just start getting into online business. There's a feeling of like, now all my friends and family are going to see this side of me, right? And they're going to be either annoyed that I'm posting about health and fitness, or they're going to feel like I'm bragging. And I think that's one of the biggest barriers when it comes to sharing our expertise, because we know a lot, right? We're credentialed, we're certified, we have a ton of experience, but some of that stuff maybe our friends and family don't quite know about us. And so it feels a little bit risky to start talking about that. But because this is online business, and this is one of the hardest things, but because this is online business, because this is personal branding. Remember, personal branding means your face, your message is out in front. People need to know you. And so one of the biggest switches that I see people make, and it takes a little bit, is going from this is what I do to this is who I am. So instead of, okay, yeah, I'm a trainer, it's like, no, this is actually my business, it's actually my life, and my life is my business, because it's a personal brand, which means that you're kind of like not able to go on break. Sure, you can take, vacations and things like that. But here's the thing, where most people go to the office for 8 hours or they go in for a shift, like this is our work, this is our job, this is our desk. So the internet space, whether that's your personal page on Facebook, whether it's your personal Instagram account, whether that's your business page on Facebook, all these different platforms, this is your desk now. Your mobile phone, this is your desk, right? You're at this 8 hours a day. And so it's hard because our friends and family aren't used to seeing that. But here's the thing. Number one is that, showing our friends and family what we're up to is not only great because it's a filtering system, like, hey, cousins and uncles and aunts and people I haven't seen in years, like, this is what I do. And it's good because it's a filtering system. And, I think it's important because you need to filter out people who are not interested in your information. Right now on Facebook, if you have a fan page on Facebook, you're not getting any visibility. So for example, if you post something on your personal page, you might be like, well, Jill, I only have 250 friends and they're all people I know and went to high school with and stuff. And I'm like, those are your first customers. Those are your potential first customers. So remember that it feels uncomfortable, but it's not that these people, maybe they don't want it, or maybe they are going to be annoyed. But at the same time, like, isn't that kind of okay? If the end goal is potentially helping these people, or if one person that you went to junior high school with reaches out to you and asks if you can put together a workout program, to me, it's all worth it. And so number one, I want you to think about this as like kind of a polarization. When you start posting regularly on your personal pages, and I don't want you guys to have, if you are doing online business, if you're doing personal branding, you cannot have a protected Instagram account. It can't be protected. It has to be open and public. And then, do the best you can. You can have a couple things, of course, that are private, but for the most part, like your personal and your business need to become one over time. And at first, you're going to try and have boundaries and things like that. But my advice to you is get as many friends on your personal page as you possibly can as fast as possible. Someone you met at the grocery store last week, someone you met at a conference 3 months ago, someone that you went to high school with, like friend, because these are all potential connections. Maybe they can help you. It's not even about you helping them, but maybe they know someone who knows how to do Facebook ads. And all of a sudden you guys make that connection. So remember, you sharing what you're good at and what you're credentialed in and what your qualifications are and what you can help people with is a filtering system. So they're going to see it. And some people might be like, this is odd. So-and-so, I didn't know that they did this. Or, all of a sudden she's posting all this fitness stuff. And some people will not like it, and maybe they'll unfollow or they're unfriend, and that's okay too, isn't it? If the goal is to use the internet space to potentially make money and create a viable business, then we need to filter those people out if they don't like it. But here's what is really interesting to me. A lot of us assume that it's going to be annoying. A lot of us assume, like, we just automatically go, people are going to be annoyed, or they're going to think I'm bragging. What I have found, you guys, is actually the opposite. Sure, there's some people who are like, it's a little much, but for the most part, most people find it useful. Or if they don't find it useful, maybe they will in 6 months, or maybe they will in 6 years. And to me, that's what this is about. It's about showing people who you are, what you do and having it be there as a resource when they are ready, getting in front of them as much as possible. I don't care if it's someone that you know or that you went to high school with, or that, you know, like a family member. That's still a potential person you can help. And so remember, it not only could be a value add and a service to them. Look, people are trying to get healthier all over the place. So this is a service. The second thing is it could inspire them. It could inspire them to maybe start their own business, or maybe, you know, get to the gym more. And I think you'll be surprised when you start to see the response of people not thinking you're bragging. People might be disoriented at first because they haven't seen this from you yet. But over time, they start to get, you guys, like I've worked with so many people that I knew growing up. Over time, they maybe got on my email, or maybe they've done my metabolic conditioning challenge, or they got into total training experience, or they got into best of you, or any of these things, because over time I was just consistent with, this is what I do, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is who I am. There was no like part of me that I didn't show. For me, fitness, health, nutrition, business, that's who I am as a person. So if we go out to dinner, I'm probably going to talk about that stuff a little bit. And if you reach out to me on Instagram, we're going to talk about that. And that's kind of needs to become that. So your personal stuff and your business stuff need to become one eventually. And that's gonna be tough because some of you guys have kids and you don't want to show them, and that's totally fine. You can have boundaries and things you don't quite share, but you need to rip the Band-Aid off when it comes to showing your friends and family who you are. And the last thing I want to talk about is judgment. A lot of us don't do this because we're scared of judgment. So I did this poll, it was about a year and a half ago now. It was on Periscope, remember Periscope? It was on Periscope, and I asked people, did they have someone in mind that they thought of when they were getting ready to post something? Did they have someone in mind that they were like, oh, so-and-so is going to see this, I wonder how they're going to react? And every single person, you know what it was? It wasn't like my spouse or my child or my mom or dad. It was like a cousin or an aunt or uncle or a grandparent or like another trainer at the gym. It was always like random people who probably are not going to be your clients anyway. Like, sorry, but you know, if you're going to cuss on social media, like at some point your grandma's going to see that, and like she kind of needs to know that you do cuss, right? I mean, so it's not, and I know a lot of people feel like it's disrespectful, and for sure you don't have to. I'm not saying you have to cuss, but like a lot of times I think we're so scared to have the experience of that person in our mind who, when we write, we're worried that they're going to judge us or they're going to think differently of us. And my whole thing is like, let's have the full experience. Let's let grandma get upset about the cuss word that you used in your post, or get upset when you share about your eating disorder, or like this stuff is really hard. You know, a lot of people are worried about their parents seeing something, or their siblings seeing something, or their kids seeing something. I think and it's hard, I know it's hard, but if you want to go all in on this, my answer is to have the full experience and let the chips fall. I've had some of the best conversations with my parents because I wanted to share something about when I was a kid online. And I called them up and said, hey, this is really uncomfortable for me, but I want to share about something that happened that, you know, happened between you and I, or happened, you know, when I was a kid, or around food or whatever. And I just wanted to make sure that they knew that I loved them and that I didn't blame them, but it was also an important experience in my life that I felt had utility to share on the internet. And so I think it's important to have those conversations. And if you can't have them in advance, and it's some random person that you don't really feel like you need to talk to, have the experience. And then if you hear that someone's talking shit, like just talk about that. Be like, hey, I'm really sorry that you didn't like that, or, you know, I'm sorry that you didn't like jive with that, or it's not your brand, but like, this is my life. So this is kind of what I'm doing. And it's okay if you're not on board with that, it's totally fine. So I think ripping the Band-Aid off as soon as possible is really the best advice. So when you're talking about judgment, you want to think about who's the source, what exactly am I worried that they're saying? And if I'm worried that what they're saying might be true, then you might have to do some mindset work on your own stuff. If you think that someone's judging you for not being credible, and you think someone's judging you for, you know, you have the biochemistry wrong, or you think someone's judging you because they don't think you have what it takes or the credentials to do what you're doing, then I don't know, it's kind of like not their business, right? Like, it's kind of like, go to that worst case scenario. If that person thought that, how would you handle that? Would you be okay with that? And I think if you think about it, it's really not that scary. You'd be fine with it because you've got to keep going. You got to do this if that's what you want to do. So ripping the Band-Aid off to me is having the full experience. And so to answer the question, I'm worried about losing people, or I'm worried about posting so much or annoying people. I know this is really not the best advice, but this is the only advice there is, and that is to rip the Band-Aid off. And honestly, in my experience, once you do that and once you go all in on your brand and your message and all of that stuff, people are way on board because you're coming with the confidence and conviction, and they're like, damn, that's awesome, right? It takes them a while. They're warming up to it, but 6 months later, 9 months later, 12 months later, they are totally on board, and they're also inspired because you showed them what was possible. And so in my experience, the second that you don't need the validation or you don't need people to like you, not like you, etc., is when the magic starts happening. You start to get the affirmation that you wished you wanted earlier. So I know it's a lot, but I want to encourage you to not worry about that. And if it happens, to deal with it. And I promise you that you're going to survive it. It's going to be great. But if you want to go all in an online business, there's no way of getting around the fact that you have got to show these people who you're scared of showing what you do and who you are. And I guarantee you it's going to come back to you tenfold. It's going to come back to you in the form of someone you went to school with, or someone, a distant relative is going to ask you for help, and they're going to be a client of yours. And that's amazing. So don't default to, I'm annoying people. Default to like, man, this is a service. This is like valuable information that like people need. Why can't that be the default, right? We got to get that self-esteem up a little bit. Okay, that's it from you guys. I hope that's helpful to you. Let me know how you do. And if you have any questions, you can leave them below for me, and I'll do the best to get back to you. I will talk to you soon. Bye.